This story didn't scream for attention, but signs were always there. You just need to look closer. This is Hidden Witness. 34 years later, police finally have a new lead in Tammy Zywicki's murder. On August 23, 1992, 21-year-old college student Tammy Zywicki was driving back to college. She was heading toward Grinnell College in Iowa. She had already dropped her brother off at Northwestern University. Then, somewhere along Interstate 80 in Illinois, her car broke down. Tammy pulled over. It was the kind of roadside problem that happens to thousands of drivers every day. A broken down car, a highway, a young woman waiting for help. But this time, Tammy would never make it to college. Her car was found. Tammy wasn't, and for the next 34 years, one question would remain: who took Tammy Zywicki? Now, in 2026, Illinois State Police and the FBI say they have a new lead, but the person at the center of that lead has already died. August 1992, rural Interstate 80 in Illinois. A young 21-year-old college student beside a white 1985 Pontiac T1000 with the hood open. Late summer afternoon. Distant semi-truck traveling on the highway. Realistic 1990 seconds atmosphere. Ominous true crime documentary cinematography. Photorealistic. 16:9 No gore no text. Tammy Jo Zywicki was 21 years old. She was from Marlton, New Jersey, and she was a college student at Grinnell College in Iowa. On August 23, she was making her way back to campus. She had no reason to believe she was in danger. It was simply another trip back to school, but sometime between approximately 3:10 and 4 o'clock p.m., Tammy was last seen with her car near mile marker 83 on Interstate 80 in LaSalle County, Illinois. Her white 1985 Pontiac T1000 was sitting along the highway, and someone noticed it. Young, 21-year-old, American college student in early 1990s casual clothing, carrying books near a college campus. Warm natural daylight, realistic documentary recreation, nostalgic, 1992. Photography, photorealistic, 16:9. An Illinois State Police trooper came across Tammy's car. It appeared to be abandoned, but there was something wrong. The driver wasn't there. Tammy wasn't standing nearby, and nobody seemed to know where she had gone. The car was marked as abandoned. The next day, August 24th, it was towed. That same evening, Tammy's mother contacted Illinois State Police. Her daughter had never arrived at college. Now, the situation was no longer a simple roadside breakdown. Tammy was missing. 1985. White Pontiac T1000 abandoned on the shoulder of Interstate 80 in Illinois during a late summer afternoon. Police trooper approaching the vehicle. Highway traffic passing in background. 1992 period. Accurate details. Cinematic true crime documentary. Photorealistic. 16:9. A search began. Friends and family wanted answers. Investigators began reconstructing Tammy's final known movements, and one detail quickly became important. A semi-truck had reportedly been seen near Tammy's vehicle. The driver was described as a white male, between approximately 35 and 40 years old, over 6 feet tall, with dark, bushy hair. That description became one of the most important pieces of information in the investigation. But investigators didn't know who the driver was, and they didn't know what connection he had to Tammy. 1992. Police search along rural Illinois highway. Investigators examining roadside areas, missing person flyers being distributed, family members waiting anxiously, period. Accurate police vehicles. Emotional true crime documentary style. Photorealistic. 16:9. For 9 days, Tammy was missing. Then, on September 1, 1992, a body was discovered along Interstate 44 in rural Lawrence County, Missouri. It was hundreds of miles away from where Tammy's car had been found. The body was later identified as Tammy. She had been murdered. The young college student who had simply been trying to return to school was gone, and investigators now had a homicide. Remote Interstate 40 for landscape in rural Missouri. September 1992, police vehicles and investigators searching a roadside area. Overcast sky, solemn atmosphere, no body visible. Respectful true crime documentary recreation. Photorealistic. 16:9. Tammy's disappearance had become a multi-state investigation. Her car was found in Illinois, her body was found in Missouri, and somewhere between those locations, someone had taken her life. Investigators looked for connections. They examined evidence. They interviewed people. They considered possible suspects, but no one was arrested. The case slowly became one of America's enduring cold cases. 1992. Detectives studying a large map connecting Illinois and Missouri. Photographs and evidence files spread across a desk. Red lines between Interstate 80 and Interstate 44. Cinematic cold case investigation. Photorealistic. 16:9. The unidentified truck driver remained an important part of the mystery. For years, investigators considered whether the trucker had played a role in Tammy's disappearance and murder. Over the decades, different names surfaced. Different theories were investigated, but no one was successfully charged with Tammy's murder, and that distinction matters. A person being investigated doesn't mean that person is guilty. The case remained open, and Tammy's family continued waiting for answers. 1992 semi-truck traveling alone along an American interstate at dusk. Truck cab seen from a distance. Mysterious atmosphere. Period-accurate highway scene. Cinematic true crime style. Photorealistic. 16:9.1992 became 1993, then 2000, then 2010, then 2020. More than 3 decades passed. Technology changed. DNA science advanced. Investigators changed. But Tammy's case never truly disappeared. Illinois State Police and the FBI continued to examine evidence. According to the latest police announcement, investigators are still examining approximately 200 pieces of evidence and retesting items using modern DNA technology. Then, on the 34th anniversary of Tammy's death, something changed. Cold case timeline from 1992 to 2026. Old newspaper clippings. Faded missing person poster. Evidence folders. Calendar pages turning through decades. Emotional, investigative, documentary, aesthetic. Photorealistic. 16:9. In August 2026, Illinois State Police announced a new lead. Investigators identified a woman named Theresa Teri Belenske. Her maiden name was Theresa Vega. But here's where the story needs to be very clear. Police have not called Belenske a suspect. She is a person of interest. Investigators say Belenske was known to hitchhike, and they believe she may have traveled with the unidentified truck driver at some point before Tammy's death. Belenske died in 2014. At the age of 54, she would have been 32 years old when Tammy was murdered. Now investigators are asking the public for information about Belenske's whereabouts and activities from the late 1980s through the mid-1990s. Modern 2026 cold case investigators reviewing a decades-old file. Photograph of an unidentified woman on a computer screen. Evidence folders labeled 1992. Modern forensic laboratory equipment. Dramatic investigative lighting. Photorealistic. 16:9. Why does a woman who died 12 years ago suddenly matter in a 34-year-old murder investigation? Because investigators believe she may have information about the unidentified truck driver, and that could be significant. Police say Belenske had ties to several California cities, including Oceanside, Vista, Pomona, San Bernardino, and Fontana. Investigators are asking anyone who knew her during that period, or knew who she traveled with, to come forward, because one connection could potentially answer a question that has remained unanswered since 1992. Who was the truck driver? Investigative evidence board showing a 1992 highway map. Unidentified semi-truck. photograph of a woman, connecting lines between California and Illinois, detective examining the board, cinematic true crime documentary, photorealistic, 16:9. There were also personal belongings that disappeared with Tammy. Investigators say these included a Canon 35mm camera, Loris musical wristwatch with a green band. The watch played the tune "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head," and there was also a red and white soccer patch marked with St. Giles Soccer Club, Greenville, South Carolina. These objects may seem ordinary, but in a cold case, ordinary objects can become extraordinary clues. Investigators continue to ask whether anyone remembers seeing them, or whether someone might have seen them after Tammy disappeared. 1992. Evidence table showing a Canon 35mm camera, green banded musical wristwatch, red and white soccer patch, old police evidence labels, dramatic forensic lighting, photorealistic true crime documentary style. 16:9. For Tammy's family, 34 years is an unimaginable amount of time. Generations have grown up since she disappeared. The world has changed. Technology has changed. But the central question hasn't. Who killed Tammy Zywicki? The latest announcement doesn't provide that answer. There is still no identified killer. There is no arrest, and there has been no conviction. But for the first time in years, investigators have given the public a new direction, a name, a connection, and a request. Someone may remember something. Memorial photograph of a young woman represented respectfully beside candles. Old highway disappearing into distance. Soft sunset. Emotional cold case. Documentary atmosphere. Photorealistic. 16:9. The FBI is offering a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to the identification of the person or people responsible for Tammy's murder, and investigators are not asking people to solve the case themselves. They're asking for information, a memory, a name, a photograph, a story someone was told years ago, something that may have seemed meaningless in 1992, but suddenly makes sense today, because sometimes the person who knows the answer isn't the person investigators expected. It might be someone who witnessed something, someone who heard something, or someone who remembers a person traveling through their town more than 3 decades ago. Modern FBI and Illinois State Police cold case investigation. Detective reviewing anonymous tip information. Large reward notice represented symbolically. Dark office with computer screens and evidence files. Cinematic photorealism. 16:9. On August 23, 1992, Tammy Zywicki stopped along Interstate 80. She was 21 years old. She was on her way back to college, and something happened there that changed her family's life forever. Her car was found, her body was discovered hundreds of miles away, and for 34 years, the person responsible has remained unidentified. Now, investigators have a new lead, Theresa Teri Belenske, but she is not a suspect. She died in 2014. Investigators simply believe she may have information about the unknown truck driver who could be connected to Tammy's murder, and that distinction is important because this case isn't solved, not yet, but after 34 years. Investigators are still looking, still testing evidence, still following leads, still asking questions. And somewhere out there, someone may know what happened on that Illinois highway in August 1992. Tammy deserved to go home. She deserved to finish college. She deserved a future. Instead, her story became a mystery that lasted 3 decades. But mysteries don't always stay unanswered forever. Sometimes, the smallest forgotten memory can reopen an entire case, and perhaps, 34 years later, someone finally remembers. Who was that truck driver? What happened to Tammy? And most importantly, who took her life? Until those questions are answered, Tammy Zywicki's case remains open, and her story is not forgotten. This is Hidden Witness, the End Sources, Illinois State Police says the investigation remains active and describes Belenske as a person of interest, not a suspect. The FBI reward is up to $50,000 out the Interstate 80 at sunset in Illinois. A white vintage Pontiac, represented subtly in the distance. Warm light fading into darkness, memorial flowers near roadside. Emotional true crime documentary ending. Cinematic photorealism, 16:9, no gore. Thanks for watching. If you saw what others missed, join the hidden witness. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the shadows.